This is a podcast by the News Minute, and you are listening to South Central.
Hello and welcome to South Central, a TNM podcast where we put South at the center. I'm Dhanya Rajendran, your host. Joining me from the Bengaluru studio is Pooja Prasanna, the host of Let Me Explain and the reporting head of the News Minute.
Hi, Dhanya. And for viewers who are wondering why Dhanya is joining us from a remote location, which is a house, she's unwell. So she's not here in the studio with us. So today I will be doing quite a bit of talking, much more than usual, so that Dhanya can get a little bit of rest and rest her throat a little bit.
Pooja clearly believes that she does not do much of the talking in the other episode. Yeah. So also joining our co-host, Leena Reghunath, investigative journalist from the studio after a gap of 2 weeks.
Hi, Dhanya. Happy to be back here at the studio, but missing you.
On the panel today is Anisha Sheth, the Karnataka Bureau Chief of the News Minute. And you can imagine that one of the main things that we'll be discussing today is a stampede which happened at the Chinnaswamy Stadium in which 11 people lost their lives. Anisha, welcome to South Central.
Hello.
And we have a guest in the studio, Venkat Ananth, a journalist who writes about a lot of things, but mainly about business. Venkat, welcome to South Central. And for all those who are watching, do read Venkat's article a few days ago in the Live Mint, where he chronicled how RCB built its brand. Welcome, South Central, Venkat.
Also, thanks for having me, Dhanya. Appreciate it.
Also joining us will be Professor Purushottama Billimale, who is the president of the Kannada Development Authority. We'll be talking to him about the controversy over languages, especially in the light of what actor Kamal Haasan said. Okay, so before we go to the headlines, which Pooja will read out, I just want to leave you with this one small thought. How much does 500 rupees a month mean to you? How much do you spend on things which require 500 rupees a month? What can you sacrifice 500 rupees for? Can you make that 500 rupee payment to something that you believe in, perhaps a media organization? What can you sacrifice? Maybe a coffee, maybe a trip to a movie. And can you then give that to a media organization? Because 500 rupees a month means a lot to us here at the News Minute and News Laundry. That's a subscription that you have to pay every month. And with that subscription, we try our best to pay our journalists fairly. We want them to travel across and report stories that matter. But all that is possible only if you pay for the subscription. Now, every week as we ask for subscription, I'm sure all of you are imagining that lakhs and lakhs of people are taking subscriptions, but that's not true. The amount of people willing to actually pay for news in India is sadly still minimal. Every time I make an appeal, it's a couple of people who will then take subscription. So think about it very seriously. What does 500 rupees a month mean to you? Because to us, it means a lot. So go to the description or click on this QR code and become a subscriber, because you will not only be empowering us to do more stories, you will also be helping us run an ethical organization. Because most times we hear about organizations laying off, cutting down in size. At the News Minute, we have tried never to do that because we want to run an ethical organization. And I hope you will be part of that effort. Over to you, Pooja, for the headlines.
Starting on a tragic note, RCB celebration tragedy, 11 dead, 4 victims were teenage fans. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah called it a shocking and sorrowful incident, and he's announced 10 lakhs in compensation for each victim's family. We'll not discuss this because this is our first discussion where we'll go into it in great detail. The next one is from Tamil Nadu. Amit Shah in Madurai on June 8th to rally in Tamil Nadu. And this is for the BJP cadre to come together. He will address 10,000 party functionaries from across the state in what party leaders describe as a massive show of unity and strength. Now, Madurai has been chosen because it's strategically located in the southern part of Tamil Nadu. And they think that this is going to add strength to BJP's campaign for 2026. Moving on to Andhra, TDP government completes 1 year in Andhra Pradesh. YSRCP, meanwhile, calls it a betrayal day, and that's how they've observed it. YSRCP leaders alleged that the NDA alliance had failed to deliver on its promises and accused the government of betraying public's trust. Kerala, one of the most colourful people that we've been following, Kerala Bobby Chemanu charge-sheeted for obscene remarks against actor Honey Rose. The charge sheet submitted to the Ernakulam Magistrate Court draws from the digital evidence provided by the actor. Both of you have followed the case. Any remarks?
I think this should have happened much more earlier than now.
Now, moving on to Telangana, Kavita, this is K. Kavita, leads protests against notices to KCR over irregularities in the Kaleshwaram project. BRS MLC, K. Kavita, who also happens to be the daughter of KCR, former Chief Minister, is leading a protest against the notices that were issued to party president, former Chief Minister KCR, by PC Ghosh Commission, which is probing the alleged irregularities in the Kaleshwaram irrigation project. Dhanya, those were the quick headlines. We'll move on to our first topic. It was supposed to be a massive celebration thing, something that all of us were looking forward to for a few days now, but it ended up in a colossal tragedy which has resulted in the loss of 11 lives. Over 50 people have been injured. Yes, I am talking about the RCB celebration that led to chaos, confusion, and eventually stampede-like situation, and then stampede outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium as the team RCB was making its way. We will get into what led to the situation because on our website we have published a piece which pieces together what the anatomy of this tragedy was, how the stampede took place, the timeline of it, but we'll also try to fix accountability and responsibility. There is a magistrate order inquiry that has been ordered. 15 days have been given for that. But let's also look at the brand RCB, right? Which is why hundreds of thousands of fans came to Bengaluru to catch a glimpse of this team, Virat Kohli and other stars of the team. So what is this brand? What is this craze all about? These are some things that we will look into in this episode.
Yeah, so we have just put out a detailed story where the entire bureau came together. So those who are slightly unaware of what happened, because reporting can also be chaotic in such situations as everybody's just finding out on the spot what has happened. And a lot of reporters found it very difficult to reach these places yesterday, considering the amount of traffic and the number of people on the road. So when the RCB won its trophy on June 3rd, I think Virat Kohli in the interview said that we will come to Bengaluru and celebrate. So that was the cue that there is going to be a celebration in Bengaluru. And from what we have learned, I personally have spoken to a lot of people in the government and in the police department. What I know is that, and other reporters in the news bulletin have confirmed this, that there were calls made from the RCB management to various people in the government. Now, there is one particular secretary in the CM's office who has good connections with the Karnataka Cricket Academy, Cricket Association, and oral permission was given saying that yes, let us have a celebration. Now, before it could be thrashed out as to what is the kind of celebration, at 7 in the morning on June 4th, RCB in its Instagram and Twitter handles, which is followed by millions of people, put out a post that there would be a victory parade from Vidhana Saudha, which is a secretariat in Bengaluru, to Chinnaswamy Stadium. It's almost 1.5 kilometers away. Now, at 7 a.m., people are already thinking, okay, there's a victory parade. Schools are planning that children will have to come home fast. Like my son's school, they already said that the class will be only till afternoon and the children will be sent back. There is a lot of discussion. What we were told is that there was a meeting with the Chief Minister's office at 10 o'clock. By then, the Commissioner of Police, B. Dayananda, said absolutely no to a victory parade. There cannot be an open bus victory parade from Vidhana Saudha to Chinnaswamy Stadium. By 10:30, this is conveyed to the team. The team then calls up Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar's office and says, can we somehow do this? D.K. Shivkumar's office does try, but again, the police say there cannot be a victory parade. By 12 o'clock, the traffic police in Bengaluru give out an advisory. Now, normally, traffic police in Bangalore give out really huge advisories saying, don't take left here, don't take right here, go straight. This advisory is simply 2 lines, which said that there will be celebrations at the Vidhana Saudha and Chinnaswamy Stadium, which will go on from 3 to 8 o'clock. There'll be no parking, so people please take public transport. And in capital letters, it said no victory parade. At 12 p.m., this statement came. At 3 p.m., RCB puts again on its Instagram handle that there is going to be a victory parade, and it says get your free victory parade passes. In small letters, it's written limited entry. Now, 3 p.m. RCB sports really doesn't matter because we are all Bengalurians. We live in the city. We know that if there is an event which is at 3 o'clock, everybody's prepared at 10 itself. They start moving towards the place because they know how the traffic is building up. So you're seeing lakhs of people already converging at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Let me explain further. The team lands at the HAL airport at 1:30. From HAL airport in a closed bus, tinted windows, all the team members are sitting. They are taken from HAL airport. This particular airport is not the airport, the main airport of the city. It's a smaller airport on HAL Road where only VIP flights mainly come. So they land at this airport. They are then taken in the cavalcade to this hotel called Taj West Inn. Lakhs of people. I spoke to police officers who said this was absolutely crazy. People were there on either sides of the road. One officer told me at the Bengaluru flyover, which is a particular place, they thought that the cavalcade cannot even go any further. So after all this confusion, it reaches Taj West Inn. From Taj West Inn, it goes to Vidhanasabha and then to Chinnaswamy. This I'm talking about the cavalcade. Now, while the players are going in the cavalcade, lakhs and lakhs of people are gathering outside Chinnaswamy Stadium, which has 21 gates. And only 3 or 4 were open for people to go inside. The Karnataka Cricket Association, which runs the stadium, does not coordinate with the police. The police does not coordinate with them. There is no decision on which are the gates. So people keep running from one gate to the other for entry. And finally, a lot of people converge at gate number 7, which is where the major stampede happens. So I just want to put things in perspective before we go to everybody. And of course, I'm breathless now saying this much.
No, that was a great and important timeline of what happened, Dhanya. But couple of things I want to point before we fix responsibilities. There is no doubt in my mind that the state government should own the primary responsibility, if not complete responsibility. They had no business announcing things without consulting their, the police department, and also the kind of chaos, right? There isn't one line of communication. Different people are saying different things. And like Dhanya said, we did understand from CMO itself that one very important advisor to the chief minister brought officials from KSCA. So it wasn't as if they didn't know this is happening. He agreed to it. DK Shivkumar was very much a part of it, the deputy chief minister. My question is, what was the need for 2 separate events when your police force is already stretched thin? 5,000 police personnel were deployed, but is that enough? Because you're looking at lakhs of people. And you cannot blame fans for being emotional. They're there because they're emotional. You cannot say they came, they didn't know where to go. That is the nature of the beast. But it is your job as a police force, as the government, to make sure that things don't go out of control. That is one part of it. And we'll get into it in a little more detail. But what we need to appreciate is there was a stampede. And immediately we saw DK Shivkumar come. He made multiple press statements. Initially, he did not have the information. He admitted that he didn't have the information. He went back. He went to Bowring. The chief minister was in Bowring meeting the victims, families of victims. They came out. They gave the information. There was an official presser at 7 p.m. where they took ownership. They said, this is the number of people who died, of people who are injured. Yes, the chief minister did lose his cool, which I think he should not have. Siddaramaiah does not have any business yelling at reporters when his government has failed so badly. But contrast this behavior to what we've seen in the last few years. I'm talking about the Kumbh Mela stampede, where we had to do investigative journalism just to determine how many people have really died. I'm also talking about how the Delhi government behaved when there was a stampede in the railway station. Where overnight there was compensation given in cash to the families of the victims. They were asked to leave from Delhi so that they're not accessible to the media. The whole culture of making sure there's no transparency, at least we did not see that happening in Karnataka. And I don't believe everybody yesterday kept saying, let's not politicize this issue. I think we need to politicize everything that happens. And at the cost of being called things, I think it's at least a good step that they said 15 days, there will be a report that will be submitted. And there is transparency, which I hope they will continue, as and when things unfold. Yeah. But Anisha, you were also tracking what was happening yesterday. If we have to break down, there were a lot of bottlenecks, there weren't enough barricades. What have you picked up from your conversations?
So, see, as Dhanya explained and as you've also pointed out, that there was primarily
okay, there were 4 agencies involved here, you know, the RCB, the KSCA, which is the Cricket Association, the police, and the government, right? Now, one thing, all of these 4 institutions have messed up at their own levels because they all made decisions independently and did not communicate any of them to anybody else. And RCB, of course, was going on and on its social media 3 times yesterday from 7 a.m. They posted claiming that there was going to be a victory parade, right? At 7 a.m. in the morning so the match ended also late at night, and then people were out on the streets all night. The cops have been patrolling the streets all night, okay? I think one question that we need to ask, and many journalists actually did ask that yesterday of the Chief Minister, is that what was the tearing hurry for it to happen less than 24 hours, after the match had ended? The cops had been out all night. People are, crazily celebrating. You can hear screams and cheers all through the night, right? Because people are just out on the streets and the cops have to do law and order duties and so on. So, yes, of course, we need to ask questions of the police as well as to, why did they not have a plan in place? Because they're used to doing this, right? They're used, and they've also done it in the past when, these actors like Puneet Rajkumar and Amrish, when they died, they had to, swing into action immediately, like without a moment's notice. So they did manage crowd control effectively back then. So we need to ask that question now, yes, but we also need to ask questions of the government and from the RCB as to what was the tearing hurry for them to, do this at such short notice. And also make claims repeatedly from 7 a.m. in the morning that there's going to be a victory parade. So that messaging was so confusing, as, Dhanya pointed out, this thing about the free passes. So these questions I think we need to ask of them.
Let me bring Venkat into this conversation to also, are you an RCB fan and what do you think about what unraveled yesterday?
This should not have happened. First and foremost, I think it's important to put it out there that this was absolutely avoidable. I think as Anisha mentioned, I mean, the cops are used to dealing with situations like this, and I do agree with her when she says, what was the hurry all about? I mean, if you ask me, I mean, I was a little surprised when Virat actually made that claim on TV that, we have something unreal for you in Bangalore. I mean, it would have been at the heat of the moment because RCB is today is everything today because of its fans, its trophies, the love it gets, and I mean, it is an unreal franchise in that sense. I mean, very mythical until Tuesday, But I would rather say that I think this should have been handled much better, much more professionally. Like one of the things that I've been startled by, which I've brought up with a bunch of people through the last 18 hours probably is that why wasn't, I mean, RCB was in the final on what was it, last Saturday, or when the playoffs played, I think Friday if I'm not mistaken. So that effectively gave you a shot at 2 outcomes. One is that they win the league or they don't win the league. So why was this not planned at that time? I mean, even if they had lost the game, that plan could have just been just basically binned. Because anyway, you are anticipating crowd. You should have anticipated crowd. I mean, I remember I was here yesterday, CBD at 1:00. I made the dash home in anticipation of this of this sort of crowd. I mean, I drove past Chinnaswamy MG Road, and I could see a build-up. I could actually see a build-up at that time. I mean, and there were people with flags. There were people with in the replica jerseys. So it was building up, and I think communication should have been a lot clearer. I think both from the management, RCB management, and of course the police and the state government. I think obviously there is a reason why they went to Vidhan Sauda. This was a government keen to claim what happened in Ahmedabad as their own victory. And as somebody said, I mean, you are in this situation, or you found yourself in this situation because you don't win. I mean, suddenly out of nowhere, RCB wins, and then you don't know what to do. I mean, you've been used to 17 years of an IPL final a day after an IPL final just being, oh, you know what, okay, some CSK won, some Mumbai won, whatever. But this time, you actually won. And when you won, you had literally no plan to follow, and people were scared. I mean, I was talking to a couple of folks yesterday who were there and who were just extremely like scared, saying, you know, what the hell is going on here? Why are things so out of control? By the way, teams have done victory parades. Mumbai has shown considerable expertise in sort of handling lakhs and lakhs of fans without any incident, any major incidents maybe here and there, but nothing of a stampede like situation or even a stampede. So I think people need to take this aspect of management very seriously. So if I were in their place, I would have gathered these four bodies, as Anisha mentioned, KSCA, state government, cops, and RCB, and said, hey, you know what, let's put on this SOP in case we win, because this, I think RCB means a lot to folks in Bengaluru, and not just in Bengaluru, but also Karnataka. I mean, there were people, like she said, who were thronging in from other parts of the state.
Yeah, actually, RCB was the first team to make it to the finals. So you have absolutely no excuse on that front.
Excuse. I think you have no excuse in the sense that you already knew you're playing in the final, and there were only going to be, okay, well, two outcomes. If it got rained off, well, the Punjab would win because they finished on top of you in the league. And if you played well and won, which you did on Tuesday, you're going to win the trophy. So knowing those possibilities, or you are going to be defeated on the field. So knowing those possibilities, I think they should have planned this significantly better.
No, but they could have just had the victory parade a few days later. So, I mean, I disagree with you in the sense that, you know, okay, Virat Kohli is a cricket player. He's not in charge of managing an event, right?
Exactly.
So he can say whatever he wants. He can say it's going to be an unreal event. He could just have planned that unreal event.
Exactly.
Right?
So I agree.
So,
I mean,
like, you have to plan.
So I totally agree, Anisha. And I think in most of these cases we've seen in the past, whether it is KKR or Mumbai Indians or even the Indian cricket team when they won the World Cups, it has always been with a gap of a day or so, because it gives the state administration to plan their machinery, their deployments.
No, so I think there are a few questions which the government and the police have to answer, RCB and the Cricketing Association also. The first is the hurry in which they organize the entire thing, right? And the second is the messaging. Now, DK Shivkumar, Visidramaya, everybody has been coming and saying that we did not expect this kind of crowd. That's a sentence they've repeated throughout the press meet and whenever they spoke to the media. Now, what we should ask them is, how did you not expect this kind of crowd? The night they won, we saw lakhs of people on the roads bursting crackers. So it is just logic and reasoning that amount of people, or perhaps even more, because in the night, women are not going to come out in large numbers to burst crackers, right? But if it's an event in the morning, women, children, along with men are going to be coming to participate in that. So how can the government simply get away with saying that we did not anticipate these numbers? That is the problem number one. The second is, could they have postponed this victory parade by a day or by 2 days? Now, one police officer who I spoke to, Anisha, also mentioned here that there are big events which have suddenly spawned out, right? Like the death of Puneet Rajkumar or the death of Ambarish, where lakhs of people descended on the roads, and and police had to do crowd management control almost immediately. So police are capable of doing this. Then the question goes to the police. Why did you have lack of coordination? Simple things. Why did you not put up more barricades outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium? Why did you not insist to the Cricketing Association that more gates have to be left open? Now, there is a magisterial inquiry which Sidramaya has asked for. And I hope that they do get to the bottom of these things, because we have seen so many stampedes in the last few months. We have seen in the Delhi railway station. We have seen in Kumbh Mela. In fact, we had an episode of South Central on the entire thing which happened in Hyderabad when Allu Arjun did a parade outside a theatre, and that ended up in a stampede, right? Who is to be held responsible in all these incidents? We are definitely not going to see anybody being held responsible. The third thing is, this is very unfortunate to say, but I feel like people have to have more sense of self-preservation. I mean, if you go into a large crowd like this, I always say in India, we are genuinely living by luck. I don't think we can leave it to the police or the government or any of these agencies to really plan things. There has to be some sense of self-preservation also. I know that I'm seeing a lot of posts of people blaming people, saying that, why are you so crazy? Why did you go out there? I can understand that, they're on very excited. That's the reason why they're going out to celebrate. But I think that sense of self-preservation is very, very important.
There is also this larger question, Dhanya, of how devoid we are of heroes and of celebrations in our public life, that one victory that came after 18 years is causing people to go to throw their own security and self-preservation, which is the basic core of every human being, how we struggle to preserve ourselves. And then you go out like this for a celebration. Or maybe at this point, we should also bring in what the brand RCB means and how it has grown over the years and how it has evolved to this place where it occupies such a big position in the imagination of people in Karnataka and elsewhere.
This is a very mythical franchise, like I called it. I mean, it's not, and for not winning titles until Tuesday, I mean, it's grown. I mean, it had its streak of flamboyance with Vijay Mallya as owner. And then obviously once he fled the country and sort of, and then things started taming down a little bit. It was not, but it was always a cool brand. I mean, RCB, there was something about RCB which I think at the very outset of the IPL, I mean, remember they were the ones who were pummeled in the first night of the IPL, by Brendan McCullum in 2008. So, but then there's always been something about this club. And I mean, like as I was walking down here, I was thinking, oh, you know what? But this state has been extremely successful in cricket. The Ranji Trophy with among other domestic trophies, it has given this country some phenomenal cricketers. And suddenly you think about, okay, what is it about this club, this IPL franchise, this construct that somehow tends to galvanize and sort of have to use a very military term as it's fashionable, is this whole of nation approach, right? I mean, why is RCB such a national club? So if you go past the Vijay Mallya years, I mean, obviously it also, luckily for RCB, comes once he's left the country and all of that. I think it also starts coinciding with Virat's rise as a batsman in international cricket, which of course, I think he was in his purple patch at that time. He was pummeling runs all around the world, hundreds on demand. I mean, along with his elevation as captain. So all of this, I think there's somewhat of a perfect storm that comes. But then even then, you don't win. And I think at some point, Virat's rise, spectacular rise, is probably what eventually trickles down to the brand and elevates this to the next level. I mean, it is today arguably one of the most popular sporting brands in the country.
Yeah.
It is a global brand, along, of course, with the fact that you had characters like, say, Chris Gayle, you had characters like A.B. de Villiers. So this, at one level, Virat takes it as a global brand, elevates it to a sort of an Indian national, sort of a national club, I would say. And then when you add all of these elements together, it just explodes and it becomes a global brand. I mean, it is today a global brand. I mean, RCB today, one of the ways I would look at RCB is, you go to any stadium in the world today, any stadium, including ones in Pakistan, you will find at least someone wearing an RCB replica jersey. Now that is wild popularity. Okay, it's I wouldn't call it Manchester level, like Manchester United level and stuff, but that's insane. Like if you I mean, I did see this. I mean, like last year during, I think while Fan Code, I think, was broadcasting the Pakistan Super League, you had people wearing RCB jerseys in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, you go any corner of the world, you'll find it.
Yeah.
So that tells you the immense power of the brand.
I also want to just, take that part of how Karnataka has one of the most successful
Yes.
Ranji Trophy. I think after Mumbai,
Yes, I'm a
Karnataka
Mumbai
has
fan,
won.
by the way. Just putting it out there.
But Mumbai is by far
Yeah, so-
the 43 championships, Ranji
and counting,
championships.
hopefully. Yeah, so
My loyalty is for the Karnataka team, though it is just 8 and counting. But my point being that it never got this kind of craze despite having been so successful. And it didn't happen. I think there are two elements, right? One is tangible, one is something that you cannot explain.
yeah.
One, the aura that you spoke of. But what about the tangible things? I think it is not by coincidence. There are the management right from Vijay Mallya, they systematically built it. And it also gave them a lot of revenue. Let's not,
Oh, yeah.
just because they didn't win the trophy doesn't mean that they didn't get the collections were huge.
They are the highest, by far the highest among the top 4 franchises. I mean, top 4, that is RCB, CSK, Mumbai, and KKR. These are considered the top 4 in the IPL hierarchy. So they are by far among the highest in terms of sponsorship. They have Qatar Airways right now.
Yeah.
Among a bunch of other sponsors. I mean, and they keep signing sponsors throughout the tournament. They are a commercial juggernaut. Let's put it that way. I mean, I mean, they should be a case study, I think. And I will not be surprised if there is a sports marketing case study on RCB.
I just want to quickly come in here and I'll take the final thought from everybody. But Pooja, you spoke to somebody who was in the management for many years. Now, for those listening, you must be wondering, why are we bringing this, what is RCB as a brand? Because there lies the answer of why so many people came on the roads, right? It's because it is such a major brand and how they built it over the years that there is so much of through their memes or jokes or Mr. Nags. There are so many things that RCB has done over the years to build this brand. Pooja, you spoke to somebody quickly. Like, can you tell, like, what did they say about how consciously this brand was built?
Yeah, no, nothing was by fluke, right from Vijay Mallya's times. If you remember those after parties that Mallya used to throw, it doesn't matter if you won or lost, they were legendary, right? And they were publicized. It was put on social media to create this kind of aspirational value. RCB was a cool, bold brand. Now juxtapose that with how Mumbai Indians celebrated. I am not passing a judgment here, but it was low-key. It was, the Ambanis taking the cup to their very grand residence in Antilla. There would be a nice puja. All of them would be well-behaved. And here, players would go wild. You would have, the trio of RCB, Virat, ABD, and Chris Gale, dancing with Vijay Mallya and his, friends who were all celebrities flown in from across the world. Look at the brand ambassadors they got. That was not, again, Deepika Padukone, Katrina Kaif, all of them were associated with RCB. They were visible in the stadium when the team was playing. So the positioning of the brand, Dhanya, was to make sure that there is this very cool aspirational value to it, number one. But after Mallya, it did not crash. That is what is interesting. They realized that now people want to be like us, but it's a cream, it's a certain section. How do we make sure that the mass follows us? That's when the Kannada pivot happened. There was a lot of trolling that you don't have enough Kannada players. There was an anthem that was in Hindi and they got trolled a lot. Then they immediately came up with the Kannada anthem.
Pivot actually happened much later,
Much later on, but the flavor I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Making sure that there are the slogans in the stadium, making sure that it is in Kannada. And of course, Isala Cup Namde is something that was mocked all these years, but also captured public imagination.
It did, because I agree with you, Pooja. Because
we have to talk about Mr. Nags. I think we can't end without that.
Yeah, the content side of it was pretty robust as well. But I think this Isala Cup Namde actually, I think it dropped a few years ago. But while before every season it used to be a thing, and after every season it used to be a thing. Whenever RCB used to go out, it'll be like next year, Cup Namde. So I think it was a floating balloon that they tried, I think, and that sort of like really hit. I also want to see how this club evolves post Virat. I mean, obviously it's all banking on Virat right now, and assuming that he plays for another 2 years, we'll have an opportunity to see how this evolves post Virat. Obviously now you have a cult hero in, say, Rajat Patidar, who 4 years ago was not even part of the setup and was not retained by the team, who's now your title winning captain.
Now, I have to bring the discussion to a close. I just want to come to Leena here. A lot of talk really about brands and what happens to RCB after Virat Kohli and all that. But I think we should not take away from the fact this is a commercial venture where you have pulled in people in various ways. And what we saw yesterday was also a result of all this commercialization. I may sound like this horrible communist when I say such things, but I do not think we should take away from that. So all this brand building cannot come without responsibility also at the end of the day when you're finally winning a cup. Leena?
No, very true, Dhanya. And, to fix, even for the government and the brand to think that, that the policing will help them navigate the situation that they have created, is to put, I was just thinking undue pressure on the police force that must have happened yesterday when they could clearly see on the ground a build-up. And neither the brand relenting to hold off the celebration for one more day when it could have been planned, and not even the government pushing the brand to do that, to have a sort of deployed or a deferred celebration, is all putting an undue pressure, and we have seen what that is happening. And this commercialization of sport to this extent, I think maybe Sharda Ugra might be a better person to speak of it, but this has just gone out of control. And whether the spirit of cricket lives through this kind of commercialization, because cricket was a game that I was very close to, but I don't watch it anymore because of this. Really, this kind of commercialization puts me off, and maybe I can also be tagged a communist for believing this, but I hope.
What is this random critique of communists as people who don't enjoy sport? Anyway,
no, because hating something
And
because
against commercialization will be tagged commie. So that's
Are
why I
you
said
both
that.
just jealous that Kerala doesn't have a team of its own? Come on now.
I think they enjoy sport way
let
too
me
much.
actually just make a quick point. Like, what Dhanya was saying, Dhanya, what you were saying about responsibility. RCB much later in the night, after all this thing, after everything blew over, basically, they said that they amended their plans based on inputs from the local administration, and we have not actually seen that happen. The fact that they were not coordinating with the local administration was evident in the 3 social media posts that they put out. So they cannot actually claim, they cannot absolve themselves of any responsibility for creating this situation. So that I think is something we need to remember.
Yeah, so no, I just wanted to add 2 things. I mean, obviously, one is that I think I agree with Anisha. I think they have to answer for some things. I mean, that the hurry in which this was done, the evident lack of coordination between the authorities, and I mean, it's just sad. I mean, it just puts a bad taste in the mouth. I mean, you've just done this. You've just done something that was like a promised land. You reached your promised land, and that eluded you. And then suddenly you're discussing about, like, here we are sitting and having a chat about deaths. It just feels like really, really a bad taste in the mouth. That is number 1. Number 2, I think franchises now will have to start thinking about celebrations differently. Whether at all, they should be indulging in these victory parades. I mean, these are not uncommon, by the way. I mean, these are very common victory parade. I mean, these are very common occurrences around the world. But they need to start planning for this. I mean, even maybe at the start of the season, if required, or even at the start of the playoffs, you tell them that, hey, if we reach the final, this is what we are going to do. This is how it is. And clear communication. I think messaging was absolutely all over the place the other day. And last thing I want to say, I mean, well, I'm going to take a slightly different view here about the commercialization and stuff like that. I think it's been good for the game. I would say, we've seen a new generation of heroes. We've seen a lot of players actually making it, which is I think it's done a lot of good for the game. But obviously, I mean, these situations, these incidents often make you introspect a lot harder about what could have been done better. And I'm sure I don't want to sound like an RCB spokey, but I'm guessing that they would want to plan better in case they win again in the future. And I hope it's not after 18 years, because that'll be a problem again. So hopefully it'll be a more successful franchise, and on the field, like my friend was saying, if you want to avoid having these situations, start winning more trophies. it's actually true. CSK doesn't do any more victory parades. Mumbai Indians has reduced its victory parade. As she said, it's Siddhivinayak, Antilla, Antilla, wherever, right? It's not, they don't go out every day. But I think that's one way of looking at it. You keep winning, and if you're used to it, more and more people will be responsible. They'll get used to your team winning, so that they don't have to wait for 18 years or a generation.
There'll be less frenzy.
They'll be less frenzy. Success will breed safety.
But just a last point, Dhanya, I disagree with both of you. Communists, as you call yourselves, not my words. But there is space for Test cricket, there is space for T20 too. And in my mind, T20 and IPL is what social media is for journalism, YouTube and social media is, because it has made it more democratic. There are more players who are getting a chance. They're being picked now because they performed well in IPL. They make it to the national team. So I think it has done some good and people are getting entertained. So
I have no problems with IPL or T20 or commercialization. I'm not taking any more comments because we really have to close this. I have no issues with any commercialization. Anybody can make money if you're making people happy, well and good through sport, because people in this country do need some avenue through which they can enjoy, they can have people to look up to. The only thing is, with your commercialization, you cannot forget your responsibility. Thank you very much for joining us on this discussion, Venkat. And now we'll move on to the second discussion.
What started off as a casual remark by actor and producer Kamal Haasan at the audio launch of his latest movie Thug Life has snowballed into a full-fledged language controversy. It's not Hindi versus Kannada at this time, but his remark, which he said he made out of affection for the Rajkumar family, a member of which Shiv Rajkumar was in the audience, where he said that Kannada was born out of Tamil, has now become a big controversy to an extent where the producers, the KFCC, which is the Karnataka Film Chamber here, is now demanding an apology from Kamal Haasan, saying that if he doesn't tender an apology, his movie will not be allowed to screen in Karnataka. What this has done is put the spotlight on the origin of not just Kannada and Tamil, but Dravidian languages generally. Now, most of the people are of the opinion that all of these languages, Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, are sister languages. But instead of us telling you, we have somebody who is an expert, who is a linguist.
It has been already proved by linguists, not by language fanatics. Okay, it's proved by linguists from Tamil Nadu, like V.I. Subramaniam, Robert Caldwell, M.B. Amino, and many others, hundreds from Annamalai University. They're all studied in Annamalai University, then moved to Philadelphia, then moved to various universities in America, and they made a wonderful studies. And Bhadraju Krishnamurthy is from Andhra Pradesh, okay, whose mother tongue was Telugu, and who has done a wonderful job on Telugu verbs. And Professor K.K. Gowda, who is from Karnataka. But all of these scholars stayed in Annamalai University. There is an association called Dravidian Linguistic Association. They all work together, okay, without any problem. And all of them have proved that there is one original language is called Proto-Dravidian, which never exists. Which is not existing now. It has been reconstructed with the help of existing languages. They compared all. M.B. Amino has compared a wonderful book of Dravidian etymological dictionary. He has taken one word like Anna. Anna is rice, right? And how it is pronounced in Tamil, how it is pronounced in Tulu, how it is pronounced in Malayalam, in all other languages. There are about 130 languages now belong to Dravidian languages, but by that time it was around 28 during Subramaniam time and other time. They all proved that about 4,000 years back there's one group of one language which existed near Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which is called Dravidian language. The Dravidian language. Okay, there is not language just that time. Later, for some reason, the people have moved from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro and moved to Ganga and Yamuna belt. Then they came to south like Odisha and current day Andhra Pradesh. Then some group has moved to Karnataka. During that time, migration is a very common thing. When they moved, some of them stayed there and some of them carried further down. So, when a community moves to another place, naturally their original language takes different shape altogether. Not in terms of body parts, numerals, pronouns like nanu, ninu. These will not change. vocabulary will change because of the surrounding languages. It takes a lot of languages. For example, Kannada has taken words from Portuguese, French. Kannada is such a language. But Tamilu is retaining its old flavor, which always don't take words easily into Tamil. Even if they're compelled to take words, they change into Tamil and they accept it. Kannada is not like that. It just takes. So these are the different habits of languages, which is very interesting. And it's a very fun to study. So linguistic association and scholars have proved that these all languages born out of Dravidian language. One Dravidian language, which they called Proto-Dravidian. The first language to deviate from Proto-Dravidian is Kui, which is now existed in Odisha. And the second language which is separated from Proto-Dravidian is Tamil. So Tamil has a very strong literary base. So Kui doesn't have a literary base. Okay, it doesn't have a script. There is no literature. Of course, it's a huge literature. Oral tradition is there, but not a written literature. So Tamil has a written literature, Sangam literature. I mean, lot of things I don't want to explain. So everybody respect it. Because of the literary tradition, people believe that this is a oldest language, and which is true. Though Kui is much older than Tamil, and it's very close to Proto-Dravidian. Very close to Proto-Dravidian. Next very close language to Proto-Dravidian is Tamil. The next language deviate from the Proto-Dravidian is Tulu. So now Tulu and Tamil has a lot of common things. For example, for buffalo. In Tamil it's a ermei. And in Tulu it's ermei. Same word. But in Kannada, the cluster changes. Emme. It has erme. The Kannadigas a little bit, easygoing people. They always make languages very easy. Erme is for difficult, so they take emme. Like that. So the third language which has to, deviated from the original Proto-Dravidian is Tulu. Then Kannada. Then Telugu. Then Malayalam. These are written languages. Now there are about 120 non-written languages. We don't know. Still we don't know. Some like M.B. Amino and Professor Bhadraj Krishnamurthy has studied non-literary languages. So we have little bit history. But who knows much about Tulu? Who knows much about Gond? So there are Brahui, Kuruk, Malto, Kui, where is Badaga? And in Karnataka we have 239 languages. Some of the languages belong to Indo-Aryan groups. So it's a beautiful country which has so many languages. Why should you bother about one language is born out of another language? Let us take a very liberal text that all languages belong to India and let us enjoy it. Don't try to dominate, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Brahi that you mentioned is in it's a Dravidian language which is spoken in current day Pakistan, right?
Yes.
That's,
They have a Brahui Academy, and they published a book, and I have the copy of that, which is one of the oldest language which survived in Pakistan, because after the fall of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, some group must have moved to northern part of Pakistan, which is a part of Greater India at that time. But most of the people moved towards Ganga and Yamuna belt. That's why the post-Harappan culture is existed. Dholavira, Rajasthan, these are very ancient sites actually. People compare these sites to Harappan culture. So most of the people moved to eastern side, but some people has moved to western side. I was so curious that I went to Brayu actually once, some 10-15 years back. They still say Vandu, one. One, Randu, Moon, Nalu, Anji, which existed in Tamil and Malayalam. Kannada has changed a little bit, Vandu, Yaradu. But Brahui never changed the Sankhya, these numbers. And then body parts, Kai, Kann, Talai, Viral. See, Viral, Beral, Va will become Ba. That change happens. But overall, it's a Beral. So body parts, numbers, pronouns. Nanu, Neenu, Avan. In Tamil, Nan, Neen, Avan. In Malayalam, Nan, Neen, Avan. In Tulu, Yan, E, R. So little bit changes. It never changes. Then verbs actually. Hogu is to go. Po, Pola in Tulu. So verbs, body parts, numbers, this will not change. That's why we call it as a sister languages.
right.
I have a question, Professor. Thank you, Pooja. So you were saying that at the end of the day, these are sister languages, and you were quoting all the linguists who worked out of Anna Mai University. Now, my question to you is that while a large portion of linguists can agree that these are sister languages and one didn't come from the other, are there also differing thoughts? For example, I recently saw VCK MP Dr. Ravi Kumar tweet a portion from Caldwell in which Caldwell is quoting Gunter, the linguist, who says that it is better to assume that the word Karnataka originated from Tamil words Karu plus Nadu plus Agam. So my question to you is, while a large section of people, of linguists and experts can believe that one didn't originate from the other, is there also a different thought process here or a different segment of thought?
See, there are two levels actually. Number one, academic level. Okay, there is no different of opinion as far as these languages concerned. The another level is language fanatics. Even some of the Kannada people, I heard that Tamil born out of Kannada. Now they started. So language fanaticism is always there. And there is a lot of things growing in Tulu Nadu actually, because Tulu, these people wanted to add their language in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. And there are 99 languages. As for the 2011 census, 99 languages are waiting to be added in the 8th schedule. Now, we don't know what happened. Now, today I saw in the paper that the central government is going to have census in 2027. See, after 1951, every 10 years we had a census. 2021, of course, I understand it's a corona. 22, it's okay. 23, they have gone for election. 24, everything is open now. Why they moved up to 27? It means it's a part of the language politics. Okay, census is also as a political image. So there are third wing, which is a part of the Indian language politics, argue that Hindi is the common language, India has to learn Hindi. These are the language politics actually. Language fanatics says that the other language is born out of my language because they want to dominate. The language is also a power, right? Language is also a power. So everybody want to dominate others. That is the fanatism. But as far as academics concerned, he may be a Tamil, he may be a Telugu, and he may be a Brahi scholar, or he may be a Kuyi scholar from Orissa. All have agreed that there's one language, Proto-Dravidian, has disseminated into different languages.
So, but if you look at the man who started off this controversy now, Kamal has refused to apologize. He's in fact doubled down. What do you make out of what he said, one, and how he's reacted to it?
No, I heard that. It's a casual talk, okay? It's a very casual talk. And he's not a linguist. And I was in Madras and I know a little bit of Tamil. And after the Bangalore incident, he has spoken about this in Madurai in Tamil. So I followed that also. Slowly he has become arrogant actually. The earlier part was fine actually. And people, see, if he said this word 15 years back, nothing would have happened. People would have just neglected it. But now the language politics is becoming very, very strong. Very, very strong. Now it's very delicate to talk anything about the language. Another reason for that, other than Hindi, all other languages are falling down actually, as far as number is concerned. See, if you see the census from 1971 to 2011, the last 40 years, Hindi is growing with the 66% growth, it shows. 66%. And Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Marathi, all showing 12% growth, 8 to 12%. Bangla is a bit high, 13%. But Kannada is struggling with the 3.73%, which is too low. So the fall of language in numbers, because of the fertility rate is going down in Karnataka, which is very high in UP, which is very high in Bihar. Even now, Karnataka is showing little bit higher fertility rate because of the Kalyan Karnataka, Hyderabad Karnataka, where still we have 2-3 people. But the other part, we have only one. See, my grandfather has 11, my father has 4, and I have only 1. See that just within 50 years what happened. So because of not, growing very fast of the languages, people believe that talking about language, working for language is very important. That's why a minor statement is also, becoming strong.
Anisha, if you look at the commerce of it all, because at the end of the day, it is a movie, right? And he's the producer. He's put in a lot of money, 200 crores, riding over this. Tell us what is at stake if the movie is not allowed to be released in Karnataka. Maybe we'll get some inkling as to why he's kind of hardening his stance and kind of doubling down on what he started off with.
Yeah, see, the commercial angle to it is that, of course, Tamil films have always been releasing in Karnataka and there's been a huge dubbing row and so on. But with regard to the commercial angle, I think that it's not going to make that much of a difference to how the film is going to fare in Karnataka. So the biggest revenue for these films obviously is from Tamil Nadu, and then I think after that is the Telugu states. Karnataka has historically never had, that much profit for Tamil films. So in that sense, I think maybe it might make about a 10 to 20% difference in the box office collections as far as the release of this film in Karnataka is concerned.
Yeah. People are pegging it somewhere around 10 to 15 crores is what they might end up losing.
Crores, yeah.
Today's newspaper said 40,000. 40,000 crores, yeah.
40 crores, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just to add, how it works is that in the opening week, they make anything between 5 to 10 crores in Karnataka. But if the movie is a success, then they can end up making 40 crores. For example, Ponniyin Selvan first part was the Tamil movie which made the highest in Karnataka. It made almost 60 to 70 crores in Karnataka alone. But the movie made 230 crores in Tamil Nadu. So and as we have been talking to a lot of people who work in Kamal Haasan's team also, they are saying that they believe that hardcore fans will go to Hosur and watch. And at some point of time, the controversy will ease down here and it will release. And he's already sold the rights of the movie for an astronomical amount. Now, people are quoting anything between 500 to 600 crores. But OTT rights are also there. At that time, everybody's going to watch it, right? I think we should also now, I want to go to Leena first and then Professor Purushottama, about what happened in the court. Kamal Haasan goes to court, which is Raj Kamal Productions. His company goes to court seeking protection. And we saw what happened in Justice Naga Prasanna's courtroom. Leena, your thoughts on that?
Yes. So what is quite surprising for me is the way the judge reacted to his plea to give protection to release this movie. Now, the first thing that the judge asks is whether there is an apology, and he was only ready to consider it when there was an apology from Kamal Haasan. And he says the sentiment of the masses has to be, considered here if they have to allow for a protection. Now, I like the logic where the court is asking, what is this logic? You could say an apology and undo this harm that you have caused. And so the state will not have to spend money to protect your movie for release. But let me take a contrarian view there. The judge is a man of justice, He has to hold the law of the land high. And a law of the land cannot bow down to a pressure of mass or the mass sentiment. That doesn't matter what the mass... A man has made a mistake. Let's say that is his mistake, but that mistake can come out of his ignorance. He's a public figure, yes, I admit, but public figures are not an academician. Doesn't he maybe have the resources that journalists like us, where we go, we verify with linguists, like what we have done now here, where we hear them and then take and, try to provide an accurate account of it. Now, that is not Kamal Haasan's duty to maybe to go for that kind of an accuracy. But you cannot say that you will not protect an industry from performing against public anger. You will not allow the state government to protect that industry. Then you are harming the industry as such, right? You as a government or you as a man of judiciary have a duty to protect that an undue public anger doesn't affect a business prospect. Now, people do business because they know that the state government will accord them the profession that is necessary to do that kind of... It's not an industry-friendly attitude when you let public sentiment run high and stop a movie from releasing. Whatever the economics of it is different. Of course, the man can apologize. The man has made a mistake. It's if he knew a little bit of history, if he knew, if he went to a linguist and talked, maybe he can correct himself, and that is a little bit of arrogance from his part. Maybe we can admit that. But as a court of law cannot say that, okay, because the sentiment of the masses has to be respected here, we cannot give you protection. That's not the way I feel that the court should have come down in this matter.
I have a slightly different view on this. I was watching that, the oral observations of the judge. And he did keep repeating that, yes, we will take a view as per law. Legally, we will take I think there somewhere he got slightly maybe carried away. He's spoke as a Kannadiga more than as a judge. Those were the observations. But as far as his ruling is concerned, he made it clear that, look, this is a circumstance of your own creation.
Yeah.
So you cannot expect us to give you police protection, and you can also resolve this on your own. Now, you said he was perhaps a little arrogant when you're referring to Kamal Haasan. He had at least 3 opportunities to set the record straight. He took each of the opportunities to harden his stand, to double down. Instead of giving a clarification, I'm not even going to say apology. Like Sir pointed, I think Kannadigas are fairly easygoing. If he had said that maybe, I was not entirely correct, maybe there would have been some backing down on both sides.
Let's also, when we look at issues like this, look at how controversies are always manufactured around big releases, and let's also take that kind of this industry attitude also into play, where we never know now when controversies come out whether they are completely manufactured or this is not their this is a very common comment that he passed that he might not have even expected would flare up, but when it flares up, they might be thinking of riding on that for publicity of the movie too. So we don't know what the industry and what the producers of the movie is thinking at this point. But yes, a little bit of apology could have eased this to say that, okay, I didn't mean it in a certain way. And also, let me tell you, when I was in school, and this was not long before, and Kamal Haasan must have been in school even back then, we were all told that, okay, Tamil is a parent language to Malayalam. And that kind of sentiment was commonly shared when schools were teaching us these languages too. But now we know that the Proto-Dravidian concept, and there is a lot of research that has come in of it, and we know how not every language has parented the other language, and they have all come through different, different ways of evolving. It has gone into them. That said, yeah.
Now, before I go to Professor Billimale, I just want to say that, whatever the court said, like Pooja pointed out, okay, the judge perhaps thought as a Kannadiga, but I think it does not augur well for free speech, in the sense that the judge saying that, whether it's about land, language, and one more thing.
Nila, Jala, Bhashe, language, land and water.
Yeah, we shouldn't make these comments. And we have seen in the last few weeks, multiple times when the court has made such comments. The court is saying, are you a historian? Are you a linguist? Now, I would want to ask judges simply that the biggest distortion of history is being done by the government here, by the union government of textbooks, which students are studying. What are courts doing in that? Are we interfering in that, where we are actually teaching people wrong history? Anyway, I want to ask Professor Billimale, what are your thoughts on what played out in the court?
See, after 92, that is the fall of Babri Masjid, even courts are acting according to the mass feelings. And Supreme Court, when giving judgment to Ram Mandir issue, it said we have to respect the feelings of mass. It's a very, very wrong actually. If you are going with the feelings of the mass, then why we need judiciary? So this is a majoritarian ideas controlling judiciary. It should not. But the good judges are always has to respect mass because they don't want to see, more problems in the society. But as you pointed out, judge already told that this is my questions, but the court, the rule, whatever court will say has to say. So we have to wait for his next judgment. But madam, my idea, my thought, or I am worried about these Kannadigas, Tamilians, Malayalis should not fight each other for simple reasons, which should not blow up out of control. Our common enemy is the imposition of Hindi now. We all have to work together to stop Hindi imperialism, which Tamil Nadu is leading, and we Kannadigas ready to follow Tamil Nadu also. But yes, such things should not, hurt our togetherness. Because see, after the delimitation, the Hindi belt will get around 580 to 600 MPs in the Lok Sabha. And South Indian Karnataka will get 28, we will go up to 36. Tamil Nadu from 39, it will go up to 42. Kerala will lose 1. Out of 20, they will get only 19 because fertility rate is going down. So in all, we got 160. So finally, in our great democracy under Modi, It is a 600 people versus 160 people. So unless we join together, at least if we fight like this, the North India will completely destabilize South India.
No, I completely agree with that point before I just let Anisha come in, because there are practical problems that South Indians face, and which is a common pattern. And the reason why I think if we could add another line about why Hindi imposition, not Hindi imposition, is our common enemy is because it is state sponsored. State, when I say the union government is spending a lot of energy, a lot of money in kind of pushing Hindi and its supremacy, even on South Indians, West Indians, and other part of the country. So that's a valid point. Anisha,
So, but I think that one of the biggest impositions of Hindi is on the quote-unquote Hindi-speaking populations themselves. So, sir, if you can jump in here and talk about how the census itself erases so many languages that are counted under Hindi. If I'm not wrong, there's around more than 100 languages that get counted under the category of Hindi. So then you see, I think in 1971, I think it was, they changed the nomenclature a little bit. So then suddenly there's a huge spike in the number of people who are speaking Hindi from the previous census years. So what would you say about that, sir?
No, that is true. See, 2000, that's the latest census, we have 2011 census. 2011 census mentioned 19,569 mother tongues existed in India. And in Karnataka, being a chairman of Kannada Development Authority, I have formulated a committee, under the headship of G. N. Devi, Professor Niranjana Rajendran. We have 250 languages in Karnataka. 250 languages. Because if you see the geopolitical situation of Karnataka is not completely South Indian state. Because from Chamarajanagar to Kanyakumari, you have 600 kilometers. But Tamil Nadu ends in Kanyakumari, Kerala ends in Kanyakumari, there's the South India. But the 9th century Kannada text says Kaveri Indama Godavari. From Kaveri to Godavari, it's a middle place actually. It's a middle place. So, lot of languages and communities migrated from north to south. Jainism came from Bihar. Buddhism came to Bihar. All had a good place in Karnataka. Very good places in Karnataka. The Jainism has, contributed. The Kannada classical literature is Jain literature. So, yeah, and languages also. From coastal and from south, Bhakti movement came from Tamil Nadu to Karnataka. And northern Nagara style and southern Dravidian style mixed together and formed a Vesara style in Karnataka. That's a beautiful metaphor how the Karnataka culture is formed. So, now, as far as this language imperialism is concerned, now it's coming in backdoor and direct. And now, last 1 month, 6 FIR has been lodged in the bank because all bankers are speaking in Hindi. Now, see, I am a middle class, higher middle class, you can call me. I am not going to bank because I do everything in GPay and online. But how about the people who are going to get a loan, going to repay the loan? Some of the people want to send their money from one place to another. Then they need help from a banker. This is how India works. But now almost 100% Hindi people are sitting in the bank and they say that you learn Hindi. You learn Hindi, it's a national language. So a lot of rift is going on. Okay, the social fabrics is getting disturbed. I met Nirmala Sitharaman 2024 December 17th. I told her that if you neglect this, it's going to create a huge problem. It's a high time. Send a letter to all people that if they are staying in Karnataka or if they stay in Tamil Nadu, let them learn local language. Let them learn language. Why they don't learn language? Why they ask us to learn their language? And if you go to any bank, you say today's word, Hindi word. Why can't they put today's word in Kannada and why can't they put today's word in Tamil? Why can't they teach us Malayalam? This is a very, very strong language politics coming in India. Common people. See, Dhanya, I'm getting a regular WhatsApp messages from North India because I was in Delhi for many years. What do you say? During census, now 2027, today announced, but the census, these people have trained the teachers to ask particular questions with the people. Say, what is your mother tongue? You will say Tamil or Kannada. For the second language, they insist that, do you make some pujas at your home? People say yes. Do you go to temple? Yes. You worship Devaru God? Yes. In what language they make puja? Sanskrit? Oh, you know Sanskrit. Then can I add Sanskrit as a second language? Yes. Who will say no? Who will understand the importance of the language survey? So they want to convert Sanskrit as a second biggest language. Their number targeting 10 crore, but 2011 census documents only 24,000 Sanskrit speakers. Just 24,000 plus. But now they want to change it to 10 crores. RSS is working all over India. This is what happening. So we all have to be very careful about these things, and we should educate our people. My mother tongue is Arabashe, which is spoken only in Sulya area. But I learned Tulu because I studied in Tulunadu. But my food is Kannada. And when I was JNU, I used to speak bad English and Hindi also. I do all those things. It is a fun. Learning language is a fun. So don't hate each other. At least South Indian languages has to come together for their survival. So Kamal Haasan and Kannada should not fight. Kamal Haasan and Kannada should go together.
Right.
How Kanimuri said that, our language is diversity. I think that resonates here.
Wonderful answer.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, if we can just zoom out, sir, there's a lot of conversation, especially in the last 10 to 12 years, about Kannada assertion. Many people, in fact, they wrote to us after our previous episode, narrating incidents that they were forced to speak Kannada, they were asked to speak Kannada. Now that happens the other way around too, like you said. In Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu, people are being forced to speak Hindi to get basic services. How do you view this, number one? And do you worry that, this clash sometimes has also become violent and that has somehow tarnished the original message of trying to preserve a language through that a culture, perhaps?
Really, I'm worried. Language love is different from language fanaticism. I don't like language fanaticism because in Bengaluru, we have 129 languages. It's a city, 129 languages. And it's a beauty, it's a beauty. See, Karnataka government has sent a circular saying that in the board, 60% you give prominence to Kannada. Next, 40% you use your language. Such a beautiful democratic order. So you use Marathi or you use Tamil in the 40% of the, but 60% is state language because this federal government has given us a power and to preserve our languages. And Kannada is one of the greatest language in India. It's not just I'm not telling it because I'm a Kannadiga. I love Tamil literature, Malayalam literature, and I am the part of Jnanpith Award Committee in Central. So we have to revise all this literature coming up in various languages. So, but language fanaticism, see, if I say something very strongly, it will become another Kamal Haasan issue. But the problem is many of the Kannadigas are stuck in 1980s. Now we are living in 2025. Our problem is different. As far as a language is concerned, we have a state level problem. If you take the same language, then you have a national problem, then international problem also. Now you see, Banu Mushtaq and Deepa Basti got one award to Kannada. See the celebration. It's an international implication, right? On a language. So we have to understand it very sensitively. Minor differences are fine. It's a democracy and I have my own opinion. But when state language is concerned, neighboring language is concerned, we have to have a language policy. Now the language is not language now. Language is a communal tool also. Now why? See, Kannada is a classical language. Tamil is a classical language. Malayalam is a classical language. Now there are 12 classical languages. Just before last election, Modi announced 5 more languages. Assamese, Marathi, and Parakrit, some other languages. Now you see the finance, money has gone to these languages. And Sanskrit got more than 600 crore under the tag of classical language. Kannada got 8 crore rupees. Tamil got around 240 crores. Malayalis, they refuse to accept that their language is a classical language. They said, no, we don't want to. We know how to survive with our language. The only one man is sitting there. When I went there, he says, nobody is coming, sir, here. What should I do? So they are not interested. See, this is a different level of work. But what I'm saying is, now after the 90s, things have completely changed. And many of us, maybe including me, I am as an old man, doesn't know what's happening in the language world. How languages are killing each other, how the language politics is growing up. Now, see, Hindi is coming under Home Ministry. All other languages coming under HRD. Now, Home Ministry constitutionally has a power to constitute a committee of 30 people. Now, 30 people under the headship of Amit Shah these days, because he is the Home Minister, sit and take any decision, make minutes, and listen carefully, send it to President, not to Lok Sabha, not to Rajya Sabha. It directly goes to President. And if President signs, it becomes law. He cannot even question in the court. How about other languages? The Karnataka government has taken a decision to make Kannada compulsory up to 5th standard, quoting 19.1, the Constitution, Article 19.1, Supreme Court said no. State government doesn't have a power to implement these languages. This is parents and children has to decide it. The immediate effect is 4,000 Kannada schools are closed. And Kumaraswamy has started 1,000 English medium schools. And the current day education minister also converted Kannada medium schools into English medium school. Why one language is under Home Ministry and why other languages are HRD, and why there is special rules for one language? Now things have changed. Now either you bring all language under Home Ministry or you bring Hindi to HRD. This is the time. That time I understand. That time it's okay, the freedom struggle, people has to come together, they should not fight each other. When Rajagopalachari asked a second capital to Hyderabad, everybody, including Ambedkar, opposed it. No, we don't want to have two capitals. I understand the emotions of that time, but now things have changed. So we have to update ourselves. The language, those who are working in the language should not be very fanatics. We will say, Kamal Haasan, that whatever you said, wrong. Linguistically, it is not proved by a finished, according to me. Finished.
Absolutely. In fact, language is emotional and nobody knows this better than people from Tamil Nadu. But that said, it has practical implications too.
Yes.
Well, I think so. Those are really good ending words, right? It's not for us to sit and fight each other, not for Kannadigas to fight with Kamal Haasan or vice versa. But like Anisha and Leena were pointing out, there's a commercial angle of this that we cannot forget. How much of a controversy is made up. And I'm also seeing that there are reactions coming from Tamil Nadu saying Vijay's next movie, Jananayagam, is made by a Karnataka production house, saying that it should not be released. So this is definitely not a commercial cycle which even the movie industries in both these states would want to go on. We will keep a close track of that. Thank you, Professor, for joining us here at the News Minute. Okay, so we'll come to the end of the two discussions today. And now we'll go to the recommendations. We'll start with you, Pooja.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with anything we've discussed, but I'm continuing my spree of recommending Kannada books that are translated to English. Devnur Mahadev's bestseller, RSS Ala Mattu Agala. It is translated in multiple languages, including English. But while you're reading him, there's another book of his called Amasa, which is translated to English. I'd recommend that you read both.
Since we're talking about cricket and celebrations, I mean, I remember an old film I watched many years ago. It's called Offside. It's an Iranian film about a bunch of girls running around to, because they want to watch the qualifier match for Iran's entry to the World Cup. And it's a lovely film. So yeah, maybe go watch it.
So I'm going to have two movie recommendations because last week I had viral fever and then I sat down and just watched two Malayalam movies, both with strong female characters, Ullurukku and Sushma Darshini. The second one was a bit of a disappointment with the plotline not being, but it was a very gripping and very genre-breaking movie. So those are my two recommendations for this week.
DED is available now in the market. Dravidian Etymological Dictionary by Amino. People can buy that. And Caldwell's book is called Dravidian Grammar. It's available in English. It is written in 1857. It's written in English, but translated to Kannada by Dr. Madhav Perajay, published by Kannada University. People can read also. That are the basic books available in English and their mother tongue. People can read it. That will thrash out many of the wrong understanding of the language. And in Kannada, Professor Murigappa's book, Hampa Nagarajaya wrote a wonderful book called Dravida Bhasha Vijnana. Very senior. It's available for 30 rupees. Dravida Bhasha Vijnana. Murigappa wrote it. And Professor Sangamesha Savadatimata currently is in Gulbarga, who wrote Dravida Bhasha Vyasanga. So it's available for 50 rupees. These are very nice people. Everybody can read. They wrote it for MA students. And we all read it in, when we are doing our MA in 70s, late 70s. Still, things are, and as I told you, absolutely there is no problem with the academic world. Now, our problem is to how to convince people. We are academicians, how to convince people. So, media like yours, the pro people media should work very hard, not other medias.
Okay, so I mean, since we're talking fandom and sport and stuff, I would recommend this book called Fever Pitch. It's by Nick Hornby. Just read it. Nick Hornby is an Arsenal fan. This book was way ahead of its time. It speaks about a fan's involvement with the club, and what it's all about. A fever pitch. So just read that. It's an amazing book. And I'm not even an Arsenal fan, so.
Well, Venkat, of course, keeps changing. Now, I recommended already in the beginning itself Venkat's article. It's called RCB's Game Plan, How a Title-Starved Team is Reshaping the Sports Business. In fact, somebody else recommended that to me, which is how I decided to invite Venkat for the show. But then the stampede happened, and then we had to change the complete look of the show, what we were talking about. This came on the Live Mint. My second recommendation is a podcast. It's called Uncover Calls from a Killer. It's by CBC True Crime. It's a call record, not one call recording. It's multiple call recordings over the years, which a reporter called Arlene Bynum had with Clifford Olson. Now, Clifford Olson was one of Canada's most feared serial killers. So it's this reporter basically explaining how she felt when she was recording these calls, the kind of language he would employ. And she thought perhaps her ethics would be questioned because he would rape and murder children. But she felt that she had to go ahead and do it to explain how a serial killer thinks and why he did that. So it's a very chilling podcast. 3 episodes are out. I've only listened to 2. So go ahead and listen. And on that note, the reason why I listen to Calls from a Killer is also because we are preparing a similar story at the News Minute. Hopefully it will be out in a month or 2, where we are speaking to someone who committed a crime to understand the whys and the hows. I started this episode by asking you to subscribe to the News Minute. Don't take that as just a message I give every time. Do ponder it very seriously. And of course, write to us as always at southcentral@thenewsminute.com. Every episode we are overshooting now and not able to read the letters. Perhaps I will have a separate episode reading the letters. We got quite a few being very angry with Sudipto Mondal, our executive editor, who dismissed Shashi Tharoor as just an English-speaking person in the UN. They're very good letters, and Sudipto has been replying to those people. I'll try to read them out next time. Thank you to my producer for this episode, Megha Mugundan, production assistant Ajay. The years of the show this episode is Sukanya Shaji and Yana Choksky, who does all our socials. Thank you for listening into South Central.